Imagine sitting on the toilet for 20 minutes, sweating, straining, and absolutely nothing comes out. Not a little, nothing. The pressure in your lower belly is unbearable. You feel like something is stuck, because something is stuck. A hard, dry mass of stool lodged in your rectum, refusing to move. This is called fecal impaction. And every single week, people end up in emergency rooms because of it. Some of them leave with a simple treatment. Others leave with their colon ruptured, fighting for their life in the ICU. A few of them don't leave at all. And here is what almost nobody tells you. The foods sitting in your kitchen right now, foods you probably eat every single week, are quietly setting the stage for this exact scenario. Some of them are even marketed as healthy. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 7 foods that, based on what I've seen over and over again, are the worst offenders, and I'll tell you exactly what to eat instead. Before we get into the foods, you need to understand what we're actually dealing with, because most people hear the word constipation and think it's just an inconvenience. It's not. Not when it crosses a certain line. Fecal impaction happens when stool sits in the rectum for so long that the body absorbs all the water out of it. What's left behind is a hard, dense, rock-like mass. Your muscles can't push it out. Your reflexes stop working properly, and new stool starts piling up behind it with nowhere to go. Now here's where it turns dangerous. As that mass keeps growing, pressure builds inside the bowel. The wall of the colon, which is normally thick and muscular, starts to stretch thin. If it stretches far enough, it tears. And when the colon tears, the bacteria living inside, billions of them, spill into your abdominal cavity. That's called sepsis. And sepsis can kill you within hours. There are warning signs you should never ignore. Severe constipation lasting more than 3 days, bloating that won't go away, lower abdominal pain, liquid stool that leaks out around what feels like a blockage, nausea, sudden loss of appetite. Any of those, especially together, are red flags. Older adults, people who don't move much, and anyone on certain medications are at higher risk. But honestly, the number one factor you can actually control is what you put in your mouth. So let's talk about that. But before I get into the list, I want to share something with you that completely changed the way I look at gut health. Because the truth is, even when people clean up their diet, a lot of them still struggle. They still feel bloated. They still feel heavy. They still can't go regularly. And there's a reason for that. There's an 8,000-year-old practice used by more than 3 billion people around the world that targets the real root cause of why your bowels stay stuck. It's a simple, natural method, just one small addition to your routine that helps your body release the pounds of old, toxic waste quietly clogging your intestines. No restrictive diets, no expensive probiotics, no medications. And the most surprising part? It works even if you eat almost no fiber at all. I'm going to leave the full explanation for you right now. Point your phone's camera at the QR code on the screen and it'll take you straight there. There's also a link pinned at the very top of the comments below if you're watching on a computer. Take 2 minutes to check it out because what you're about to learn in the rest of this video is going to make a lot more sense once you understand this. Now, the first food on this list is one most people eat without a second thought: processed red meat. I'm talking about sausages, bacon, hot dogs, salami, bologna, deli ham, pepperoni, anything cured, smoked, or packaged for shelf life. Here's the problem. Processed meats have almost zero fiber. Zero. And fiber is what gives your stool bulk and softness, what helps it move through the intestines. Without fiber, what you eat just sits there, slow and sluggish, hardening with every hour that passes. But it gets worse. These meats are loaded with saturated fat and sodium, which pulls water out of your colon. They also contain nitrates and preservatives that disrupt the healthy bacteria living in your gut. And the World Health Organization classifies processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen for colorectal cancer, the same category as tobacco. In my experience, patients who eat processed meat several times a week almost always show signs of slowed transit, hard stools, and increased polyp activity when we examine them. A better option? Fresh, lean protein. grilled chicken, fish, eggs, beans, lentils. And if you must have bacon on a Sunday morning, make it the exception, not the routine. The second food is everywhere. It's on almost every plate, in almost every meal. White bread, white rice, white pasta, croissants, bagels, crackers, anything made with refined white flour. These foods start out as whole grains, but during processing, the bran and the germ are stripped away, and those are exactly the parts that contain the fiber, the minerals, and the nutrients your digestive system actually needs. What's left is essentially pure starch, empty calories that turn into sugar almost the second they hit your stomach. When you eat a sandwich on white bread, that bread mixes with water and digestive juices and forms a thick, sticky paste in your colon. Not stool, paste. It coats the intestinal walls, it slows down everything moving behind it, and it gives your gut bacteria almost nothing useful to work with. People who eat refined flour daily often come in complaining of bloating, irregular bowel movements, and that heavy, weighed-down feeling after meals. That's not a coincidence. Switch to whole grain bread, brown rice, oats, quinoa, whole wheat pasta. The taste takes a few days to adjust to, but your colon will thank you within a week. The third food is one a lot of people consider harmless, even healthy: cheese, and dairy in general when consumed in large amounts. Milk, yogurt, cream, ice cream, but especially hard cheeses like cheddar, Parmesan, and mozzarella. Here's what's happening inside your gut. Dairy contains a protein called casein, which is notoriously slow to digest. It binds with other food in your intestines and creates a dense, sticky mass that's hard to move. Cheese specifically has almost no fiber, almost no water, and a lot of fat. That combination is a recipe for hard, compacted stool. On top of that, a huge percentage of adults are at least partially lactose intolerant and don't even realize it. When lactose isn't broken down properly, it causes bloating, gas, cramping, and irregular bowel patterns that go on for years. I've seen cases where someone is severely constipated for weeks. We run through their diet, and the obvious culprit is the cheese they're eating with almost every single meal. Cut it back, and things start moving again within days. You don't have to eliminate dairy, just be honest about how much you're really consuming. Moderation, not daily indulgence. The fourth food on this list barely needs an introduction: fried and fast food. French fries, fried chicken, onion rings, burgers from the drive-thru, anything dunked in oil and served in a paper bag. The issue isn't just one thing, it's everything at once. These foods are extremely high in saturated and trans fats, which slow down gastric emptying. That means food sits in your stomach longer, your intestines work harder, and your entire digestive rhythm gets thrown off. Fat in those quantities is one of the slowest things to move through the human gut. Then there's the lack of water. Fried food is essentially dehydrated food coated in oil. When it reaches your colon, it pulls moisture out of whatever's around it, which is exactly how stool turns hard and impacted, and the inflammation. Frequent fried food consumption causes low-grade chronic inflammation in the gut lining, which over time damages the tissue that helps move stool along smoothly. People who eat fast food 3 or 4 times a week almost always have some level of constipation, even if they don't recognize it as such. They've just normalized feeling heavy and bloated. Cook at home when you can. Your colon notices the difference immediately. The fifth food is going to surprise a lot of you. Bananas, specifically unripe bananas, the ones that are still green or only slightly yellow with green edges. There's a widespread myth that bananas help with constipation. The truth is more complicated. Ripe bananas, the ones with brown speckles on the peel, do contain some soluble fiber and can be gentle on the gut. But unripe bananas? They're a different story entirely. Green bananas are packed with resistant starch and a compound called pectin in a form your body struggles to break down. Resistant starch acts almost like glue in the colon, especially when you're not drinking enough water. They also contain high levels of tannins, which slow down intestinal movement and harden stool. It's one of the reasons why bananas are sometimes recommended for diarrhea, because they slow things down. But if you're already prone to constipation, that's the last thing you need. I've had patients who eat 2 or 3 bananas a day, convinced they're doing something healthy, and they can't figure out why nothing is moving. If you love bananas, eat them ripe. And don't make them your only source of fruit. Variety matters. The 6th one isn't even a food, it's a drink. And it might be the single most underestimated cause of digestive problems in modern life. Sugary sodas and sweetened beverages, regular soda, energy drinks, sweetened iced teas, fruit-flavored drinks, and yes, even most of the so-called sports drinks. Here's what they do. First, they replace water. People drink soda all day long and barely touch plain water, which means the colon never gets the hydration it needs to keep stool soft. A dehydrated colon produces dehydrated stool. It's that simple. Second, the massive sugar load disrupts your gut microbiome. The good bacteria that help break down food and keep things moving start dying off, and the harmful bacteria take over. That imbalance causes bloating, irregularity, and chronic inflammation. Third, the carbonation and artificial sweeteners in diet versions cause gas buildup and can actually slow intestinal contractions in many people. I've had patients drop soda completely, switch to water, and within 2 weeks they're going to the bathroom regularly for the first time in years. If you drink soda every day, this might be the single biggest change you can make. Water, plain water, is medicine for your colon. The 7th and final food is what most people reach for between meals without thinking. Ultra-processed snacks, potato chips, packaged cookies, crackers, cheese puffs, instant noodles, granola bars loaded with syrup, and pretty much anything that comes in a shiny bag with a long ingredient list. These products are engineered to taste irresistible, but they're nutritional ghosts. Almost no real fiber, almost no water content, and extremely high in sodium, which actively pulls water out of your stool and out of your colon walls. That's a direct path to hard, dry, painful bowel movements. The artificial additives, the preservatives, the emulsifiers, the artificial colors, all of them disrupt the lining of your intestines and damage the bacterial balance that keeps digestion running smoothly. Studies have linked frequent consumption of ultra-processed foods to a significantly higher risk of colorectal cancer, inflammatory bowel disease, and chronic constipation. And the worst part? Because they're so calorie-dense and easy to eat, they replace real food. A bag of chips in the afternoon means no apple, no nuts, no real meal. Read labels. If you can't pronounce half the ingredients, your colon can't process them either. Choose whole foods, always. Now that you know what to avoid, let's talk about what actually works, because warnings without solutions don't help anyone. Start with fiber. The target is 25 to 35 grams per day, and most people get less than half of that. The best sources are leafy greens like spinach and kale, chia seeds, flax seeds, prunes, lentils, black beans, chickpeas, whole oats, apples with the skin on, berries, and pears. Build your plate around these, not around bread and meat. Next, water. Minimum 6 to 8 glasses a day, and more if you're increasing your fiber, because fiber without water actually makes constipation worse. Sip throughout the day, not all at once. Move your body. You don't need a gym. A 20 to 30-minute walk every single day stimulates the muscles of your intestines and dramatically improves how stool moves through your system. Sedentary people are far more likely to develop impaction. And this one is critical. Never ignore the urge to go. When your body signals it's time, listen. Holding it in trains your bowel to become sluggish over time. Finally, if you experience severe constipation lasting more than 3 days, abdominal pain, vomiting, blood in your stool, or leakage of liquid stool around a hard mass, do not wait. See a healthcare provider immediately. These are not symptoms to push through. Your colon and your rectum are doing quiet, relentless work every single day of your life. You don't think about them. You don't thank them. You only notice them when something goes wrong. And by the time something goes wrong, it's often gone wrong for a long time. The truth is, the difference between the person who ends up on an operating table and the person who lives a long, healthy life without ever needing one usually comes down to something incredibly simple. What they chose to put on their plate 3 times a day for decades. You can't undo every meal you've ever eaten, but you can decide what the next one looks like, and the one after that. Start today.